Hey guys, how's it going? World Lit and Incarnate Word. This is week 8 on Wednesday. Boy, I was getting ready to record this video for you guys, and I got on Blackboard and I saw that you did not receive a video from me on Monday, and a course announcement or a or an email. I realized you were wrapping up the literary analysis for Monday, and so you probably didn't think about it, but I did record one, an introduction to The Stranger and to the author, Albert Camus. So that one is coming to you today. I didn't just run and change clothes. I promise I'm not lying. This is Wednesday at 2:38 p.m. and I want to talk about the first half of The Stranger. But first, I want to apologize for not getting you any content on Monday. I did record it and intend to get that to you. Saw that those papers came trickling in. A few of you running behind on those, and we've talked. If you and I have not talked via email yet about you not getting that paper in, we need to do that so we can make arrangements for how to get you some points and how to get something in, okay? But lots of folks getting them in, and I'm excited to start reading them, I don't know, maybe over the weekend. All right, let's take care of attendance for week 8. Halloween is around the corner. And I know it's a weird year, right? Trick-or-treating for little kids isn't going to be the same. And, well, I imagine that Halloween parties are going to be very different as well, since COVID is still, in many communities, in full swing. But one of the time-honored traditions of Halloween is dressing up in a costume. And it's one of my favorite parts to Halloween since I was a kid. And it's one of my kids' favorite parts as well. My daughter is 9 and my son is 3, and they're excited about it. Even if we're just going to be home and maybe drive past Grandpa's and he throws some candy at us from the lawn. Today, when you email me with your response to the attendance question, I want to know most memorable Halloween costume you ever had. Maybe it's because it was a really good one and creative and inventive, or maybe it was an awful one, like a really badly designed or really poorly put together one that your parents put you in when you were little. Now, if you didn't celebrate Halloween and that tradition isn't yours, that's okay. Don't worry about that. But I'm sure that you do occasionally like to put on some different kind of clothes and dress up. All kinds of cultures and traditions do it for a variety of reasons, whether it's celebration or to remember something. So if you never dressed up for Halloween, no worries. But favorite costume, okay? Favorite costume that you've worn. All right, so that's out of the way. Let's talk about The Stranger a little bit. Hopefully now you've seen the Monday video. A couple of days late, but you saw an introduction to the author and that video that I posted, that I was successful in posting, about an introduction to Camus and to this piece. But I want to talk about the first half today, the first 59 pages of the book. This is really one of my favorite novellas. It's easy to read. The translation is really beautiful, but it's a deep philosophical, psychological book. There's a lot going on in these pages and in these words. And first thing we got to get out of the way is American English speakers have a hard time with French words, right? And I don't speak French. I have my own struggles with French words. But if you're going to talk about a book, you need to be able to say the main character's name, right? The main character's name is Meursault. Now, it's spelled, an American tongue wants to say Marsault or Meursault, but the French is just so much more gentle than English, you know. And so it's Meursault. There's a trick for American English speakers. If you're looking at that word, just drop the L and the T off the end, and just let your sort of let your palate and volume just kind of dissipate as you finish. Meursault is fine, okay? You know, when the French took over the Anglo-Saxons and Old English became Middle English, English adopted a lot of French words, but we never got good at the French pronunciation, right? It's just so different than what we're used to. Theirs is a very subtle language, and so you take a word that we all know, croissant, right? Well, a French speaker would say croissant. What do we say in the U.S.? Croissant, right? We made it real hard, croissant. It's a croissant. Well, you and I, if you went into a bakery and went, "Hi, could I please have a croissant?" You'd feel kind of silly, right? So English is just that way. It's kind of funny. And not just English, but American English in particular. You know, American English after World War II had a pretty dramatic change. I look at this word, this English word, and you know, the Brits, when they say this word, they pronounce those middle T's there as T, and they drop that R, because of course the English are a little gentler in their language too. So they would say butter, right? Double T as T and drop the R. But we do two interesting things with these letters in American English. Our double T's in the middle of the word often translate to D's, and we do a hard R at the end. So butter became butter, butter. We're a little rougher around the edges in English, right? So anyway, if you have a hard time with some of these French words, don't feel bad. It's just because of our language being so different. But Marisol is fine, okay? Anyway, really great book and a really fascinating character. One, I think, of the most fascinating characters in 20th century literature. You know, on a first read, he seems odd, and he is odd. And you might argue that he is detached from emotion. If you've read the first half, I'm sure you got that impression, that he's detached from emotion. Well, he does have emotions. He does experience things as a human, you know, with some kind of emotional depth. But I think what's more accurate than saying he's detached from emotion is that he's detached from expectation. Marsan is detached from expectation in the beginning of the novella. Oh, and as always, full spoilers here. I'm just going to talk about it. He kills a man at the end of part 1. There, I did it. At the beginning of part 1, his mother dies, and he's an adult man, and his mother passes away, and she'd been living in a nursing home, and he grieves as any person does when their parent passes away. But one thing that's interesting about him is he is unable to grieve in a more traditional way. You know, what do you expect? What are the expectations of someone dealing with a mother or father who's passed away? Pure devastation, right? Sadness, maybe even anger. Maybe perhaps having to go to a therapist and talk through pain, or speaking with family and friends. Perhaps even, you know, going on antidepressant medicine. There are all kinds of things that happen to folks when they lose someone important to them. And you know, Marisol doesn't even, from that second line of the book, he doesn't even quite remember what day it was that she passed away. He's detached from the expectation. It also reminds me a little bit, folks who read King Lear, of Cordelia in Act 1, Scene 1, when Lear asks Cordelia, "How much do you love me?" And she says, "Well, I love you, you know, fine. I love you like I always loved you." She is unable to lie and unable to dress it up in some kind of fantastical, impressive way that impresses everyone else. And she's punished for it. You'll see that Marisol is punished for his honesty too, and his inability to dress up his reaction to things. He is obviously sad about his mother passing away, but he is not able to walk through the normal behavior patterns of a person who's lost a parent. I am a person who can understand this and relate to this because my own mother passed away some years ago, and my father. And I was absolutely devastated by my mother's loss. She was the one who went first. And it was very, very difficult. But you become aware, for those of you who've had a similar experience, you know what I'm talking about. You become aware that your response to the loss is on everyone's mind, especially if you're close to the person. and they're perhaps talking about it, oh, how is he handling it? Oh, let's see his behavior. And so you can't help in that situation but to put on an act or to stage a certain behavior that you believe is appropriate, right? And that's a normal sort of social expectation, and it isn't that bizarre of a thing, but it's only made to look bizarre when someone like Meursault is not capable of it. He's just not capable of it. And it's not just the loss of his wife. Later in the first part, he's dating a woman and they're enjoying each other's company very much. They're living together and having a good time. They get along well. They like to cook together and these things. And she asks if he'd like to get married and if he wants to get married. And this is another societal expectation that if you're happy in a relationship, that you eventually marry, right? And his response is a little detached. He says, well, considering we get along well and we've been together this long, that seems to make the most sense. And of course, she's heartbroken by this answer because what? She wants him to say something sweet, something romantic. She wants to see him perhaps excited, maybe more traditionally going down on one knee and giving a gift of a diamond ring, or something that resembles the sort of narrative that has been created and that we all sort of expect to come to fruition in our lives. And it's not that I don't think Meursault resents those things or is like acting in rebellion against them. I think he just isn't capable of doing it. And it troubles the people around him. The people around him don't seem to like that very much. So yes, as the first part begins to wind down, Meursault and his girlfriend go on a vacation with some of their friends. This is in French Algeria, right? At this time, France owns Algeria, and so you could go between the two countries easily, and many Frenchmen lived in Algeria. They run into, along the beach, some Middle Eastern folks, and there is a fight, and a scuffle, and a problem. And eventually, Meursault reacts by going and getting a gun and trying to find, as he calls the Arab men, find the Arabs who he believes had picked a fight with them, and he shoots and kills one of them. What's so bizarre about that scene, it's surprising when you read it and when you get there, but even the murder is full-on detached from reality. Even the language that is used, I'm on page 59, just at the very, very last moments of part 1. He says, the trigger gave. Imagine how soft that is. Not I shot him, right? That's active voice. I shot him. No, the trigger gave. The trigger gave. I felt the smooth underside of the butt, and there in that noise, sharp and deafening at the same time, is where it all started. I shook off the sweat and sun. I knew that I had shattered the harmony of the day, the exceptional silence of a beach where I'd been happy. See, he feels emotions. Then I fired 4 more times at the motionless body, where the bullets lodged without leaving a trace. And it was like knocking 4 quick times on the door of unhappiness. End of part 1. Cliffhanger. What's going to happen, right? Well, I'll give you a hint. He's going to jail, and part 2 is about what happens to him there. So part 1 sort of begins with him losing his mother and ends with him murdering a man. It sounds like high intense action, but if you've read it already, you realize that it's kind of a quiet, slow book. Because Meursault is sort of quiet and not very excitable. But some big things happen to him. Fascinating read. I want you to think about his detachment and come to your own decisions about that. will a final time apologize for not getting stuff out Monday. I had no idea until a few minutes ago. So you're getting a Monday video and a Wednesday video on Wednesday. And start reading The Stranger if you haven't already. And we are going to talk about the second half on Monday, and wrapping up with discussion of theme and character next Wednesday. Okay, guys, hope you're well. Sorry that one went long, but lots to talk about in this book. Hope you're doing well. Have a nice weekend.